Look at this buzz they've done on the side here.
Yeah, it's skin fade, bro.
Mind if I feel that?
No, I would prefer you did.
Gosh,
Yeah,
and I haven't had my hair like that
No,
since
I'm
I was
good.
like
Go ahead and get you a fit.
12 years old.
Do they put product in that, it looks like?
Yeah, he put some stuff in there.
You ever
They
thought-
styled it up for you too?
Oh, yeah.
God, this guy's got hair and makeup on the way down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's start the podcast right there.
Yeah.
All right. So who do we have today? See, that way it kind of forces us to keep it in. Go.
Go.
Yeah, I'm being
is what this
serious.
guy
Let's leave
says.
that in there.
Hey, Jeff,
Yeah.
welcome to the studio, bro.
Hey, thanks.
How's it going? We got Jeff Stevens on the hot mic today.
That's me.
Appreciate Jeff being here. I'm doing a really good job introducing you here lately.
It's become to perfection.
Yeah, it's not
You
even
don't
something
ever
I-
forget anymore.
That's right. I'm right on. But more importantly than Jeff Stevens, we
Mm-hmm.
have maybe the better Stevens of the group.
Mm.
We have none
Amen.
other. Amen. Maybe the first amen we got on the podcast. Austin Stevens, fresh from Toledo.
That's
Welcome,
right.
Welcome to Huntington, man.
Thank you. I've probably been to Huntington 50 times now in my life.
50 times.
Do you think that sounds somewhat accurate?
Yeah, I would believe if you said 100.
Yeah. I'll go with 100.
I've lived here my whole life. I'm not certain that I've been to Huntington 50 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so let's
Travel.
give some context
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
We're cousins.
Me and you.
No, we're not.
I s-
But I wouldn't mind being your cousin, though.
We'd be fun cousins.
It would be fun.
Yeah.
But anyways, I like him more, so let me finish that story. His dad Kevin and I are first cousins and really close. You know, the kind, not just like some distant cousin that you don't know very well, you know, the kind that you text every single day.
Okay.
And so we're really close as a result of that and always have been. So that's why he's been to Huntington 100 times.
Yeah.
I see. Where are you originally from?
Toledo.
You're originally
Yeah.
from Toledo.
The Glass City.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Really? Did you know that?
I did.
I've been to Toledo. Did you know that?
Yeah. You were there a week ago.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did you know that? He
Yeah.
said?
I actually remember that. Yeah.
I was curious if he
He
would
just was
remember.
testing to see if you have amnesia.
Yeah.
No,
Any kind of a cognitive
I'm lucid right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm good.
So, so you're from Toledo. Actually, what's really cool is when we were in Toledo there a couple weeks ago, we were able to go by your home place.
I hated that.
Yeah, we drove
I
by
sped
where
right by it.
Where a little boy he did. Do you remember that? Ben was with us, and you had asked, "Can we drive by your old home?"
Yeah, it'd been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we go through this neighborhood. It's a beautiful neighborhood. Kids playing out in the yard, and trees were fully bloomed, and grandpa's mowing the grass down the street. And when we get to where Austin was raised, we went into launch mode in that truck. I mean, tires were squilling.
There was a lot of traffic behind me.
Ben said, "Where did it go? Which house was it?"
I didn't notice it as much as you guys did, but why did you drive by there so quickly? Did you mean
I guess
to?
I'd be afraid to like maybe see the new homeowners. You know, I don't know.
They might see you and think it was weird that you were looking
Yeah,
at them.
creeping on them.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows? But yeah, so that was cool. We went by your old high school.
Yeah, that's right.
Where
you got the whole tour of Ottawa Hills.
Yeah, we had a great time. So Toledo was a lot of fun. So I think let's go into a little bit of backstory. How long have you been with Village Caregiving?
Over 2.5 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember, I don't know if you remember this or not, the first time we met.
It's my second test now.
Yeah.
The first time we met.
Yes. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. It was in the
Clearly
it was in the
memorable.
home office, right?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we sat out kind of like where Jeff Heflin sits, and we kind of sat there and chatted.
Yeah.
You were wearing a hat, a ball cap, I remember.
Yeah.
And yeah, you talked a lot about yourself, I think.
That sounds right.
Is this how this is going to go?
He does remember it.
Okay. So I remember a lot about you that day.
Okay.
So I clearly didn't talk that much, but we went for dinner that evening. We went to a restaurant, Main Street, Central on Main. Main on Central.
Main Street on Central.
Main Street on Central. The streets confuse me. I'm not
Yeah.
from Barboursville. And we sat outside. We sat out back. And we
That's
ate.
right.
Yeah. We ate, and I met you. And that was that was before you joined the organization. You were interested in coming on board. We had not launched the Columbus, Ohio office yet. We were interested in going to that market. And were you living in Columbus at that point?
No.
Where were you?
I was living in Toledo, and it was during COVID.
Okay.
I was working from home. not really loving my job, I guess.
Okay.
And when you work from home, and I worked for a big company, and I thought I really liked it, and then Jeff kind of just called me up one day during COVID, and I hadn't gotten a call from him in a while. And I was like, sure.
He's trying to sow seeds of family discord.
Yeah,
Don't fall for it.
There was clearly division, but go on.
Yeah, but no, he called me, and he's like, how do you like your job? And people ask you that all the time, and you're always just kind of like, yeah, I like my job. But I feel like it's going to get a little deep, but when Jeff talks to you, he's almost kind of always like challenging you. You probably know what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah, go on.
He doesn't really let you get away with just like simple answers. Either way, I was like, I guess I don't really like my job. And he's like, well, you want to come work for me? Or would you be interested in working for me? He didn't just offer me the job. And I didn't really know what he did. So he invited me down to Barbersville. I spent a couple days at the office, chatted with you, chatted with the rest of the team. And then some months passed, and we went on our annual hunting trip down here in West Virginia, and I was like praying the whole time he'd bring it up. And he finally did at the very end. He's like, we'll chat in a couple weeks about the job. And so I kind of figured like my time in West Virginia was like the interview,
Wow.
coming down and
Yeah.
kind of getting grilled by everyone, I guess.
I guess at the time, do you remember if I was at Ashland or had I moved to the home office? I don't remember the exact. It was really close to that time period when you originally came down.
If you were there for dinner that night, you must have been around or
almost-
transitioning
well, there-
to
yeah,
working
right.
out of that building. Yeah.
Yeah, right before that, though, when I was at Ashland, I would get invited up for, like, I came up when Mark Dean interviewed, for instance, out our Chapmanville office. You guys kind of started involving me in that a little early. So it was around that transitional period. But I think, Columbus was the first major market that we had tried. We had Charleston, we had Morgantown, we had the Huntington Barbersville area.
It was one of the very first, yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm sorry to ask again, but we're talking end of 2020?
Yeah, I started in November.
Right, okay.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to wait till the last day of the trip to bring it up.
Why do you do those?
I don't even know I did it.
We were having a good time.
Maybe the biggest thing in his life, and you're out there frying eggs or whatever you were doing. This guy's praying for you to throw him a lifeline here.
Well, I was ready to leave my job, and he had mentioned this 3 or 4 months before, and I'm like kind of waiting to get a call one day to like
He had already
bring this
quit.
into life.
Well,
yeah,
Let me be serious.
living on the
for
streets.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
a second here. A couple of things. Number one, I want to make sure that it's what you want to do.
Yeah,
I mean that from the very bottom of my heart. If you have some other career path that's a passion or a dream of yours, I don't want to interrupt that just because I think you would be good at the job. So that was really important. And I wanted to give you some time to think about that. I think we also were trying to figure out exactly how it would work and what city could you even move, things like that. But then I think, besides my mom, who has done some per diem nursing in the Ashland office, I don't have any other family that works for the company, do I? Sorry if I'm forgetting here. Gosh, I'm really getting in trouble. We'll edit that if I'm wrong. But I take that. What I'm saying is hiring a
my
family.
sister runs an office in San Francisco.
I would hire them too.
Yeah.
I take hiring a family member real seriously because I don't want any appearance of bias. I'm probably like too hard on you sometimes because it's like the coach of his, if his son's on the team, you treat him even harder. But so when I brought you into the office, you had told the story there. I wanted you to meet everybody. That's for both my benefit and your benefit, in my opinion, because what if things, don't work out like I'm just saying? I want you to come in and meet all the different people and kind of see it for yourself. Just don't take your cousin Jeff's word for it.
Right.
And then for my benefit, just being totally honest, is I don't want to be just the guy that hired his family member. We're going to do this the right way, go through an interview process, meet everybody. And I think that's to your benefit
Yeah,
too.
that was important to me too.
Yeah. You're that kind of guy and wanted everything to be done above board in the right way and have all of the other people there at the home office. And of course, you're terrific. So everybody was immediately like, yeah, you didn't even need to do that.
Yeah.
But it was still important, I think, to go through that exercise because it's just about doing that the right way.
You agree with all that?
I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, that's just like, I've never felt like I've had a chip on my shoulder here, Like it's not like, I don't feel like I get away with stuff. Like I feel like my offices and our teams, like we warrant attention because we do things well. And like, I don't think we warrant attention because I'm related to Jeff.
Yeah.
And I think I was proud of, I shouldn't be proud, I guess you should. There was a meeting last December in Cincinnati, and I had like 5 or 6 people come up to me and be like, are you related to Jeff? And these are people I'd worked with for 2 years. And I was like kind of proud to be like, yeah, I am, and no one knew it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't make it a point to say that because I'm sensitive to not wanting to put you in that position
Yeah.
where other people
We're
might
on the
look
same
at
page
you.
about this.
Yeah, I don't want them to look at him differently.
I've told everyone we're related.
And you?
I keep telling
What do you
people
tell them that our relation is?
that you're my older uncle.
He's going in on my white hair again.
We had a podcast that recently aired where he was a little sensitive about the whiteness of his beard.
Grays aren't, I mean, I have a couple grays sneaking in.
They have
You got your hair dyed today, it looks like.
dyed.
Did they do
That's
that at
the
Sports
VIP
Clips?
at Sports
I
Clips,
did
yeah.
So
Would you use like the brush in just for men?
would I?
Yeah.
Or do
If you
I?
had a beard like this one, would you give it a shot? I mean, I don't have a big beard right now.
I don't want to say yes or I don't think I would, but I guess maybe.
You don't know.
Yeah.
There's no river too long doesn't contain a bend. He's not sure what's going to be in his future. I mean, I didn't know that was that hard of a question.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Hey, Austin. Speaking of getting some gray hairs, so when you first came over, I remember we had, and I don't think this was a confidential conversation, but if there was ever anything that I really saw you struggle with, it was your sensitivity to the fact early on that a lot of your staff would perceive you as a younger director. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times when we're interviewing folks for leadership positions, especially at the branch level, we will interview people fresh out of college. We'll interview people that's very early in their professional career. And that's something that we hear from them when we talk about, like, what's some of your concerns about this role? They're like, I would have staff that's younger than I am, or that I'm younger than. And I always think back to that challenge that you had. Now, that's not something I've heard you mention for 2 years now. So
Yeah.
you've clearly worked past that. But that was a thing. That was a mental challenge
sure.
for you when you came over. Talk a little bit about that, and how did you get on the other side of that, or did you just quit talking about it?
I just shut up. Yeah. I just don't want to bother anyone. No, I feel like that was a big struggle for me. Like, I had never professionally managed anyone before. And a lot of these people that you hire are grown adults. I mean, we hire a lot of people who are, some occasionally like close to being clients of ours. And then on top of it, you have office staff who are, maybe older than you, or maybe more mature than you, or have better degrees than you. And I guess it's just showing that like their work is valued, treat them like normal people. And I think a lot of it's just fake it till you make it. Like, even to this day, I still feel like I'm trying to fake it till I make it. And I don't know if that'll ever go away, but that's what I just try to do. I go and just try to be confident with every conversation I have. And I have a lot of people I can talk to. I talk to my mom a lot. I talk to my dad a lot, just trying to get tips and, help out with those types of conversations, because they're not always easy, but I feel like I've been in this shoe long enough to kind of feel comfortable with where I'm at and the people that work with me.
What's your background in as far as education?
Well, I went to college and I got a degree in finance.
Okay.
And I minored in history, which hasn't really proved anything for me yet. But I worked in finance at a healthcare REIT that owned senior living communities. So like me moving to the home healthcare side was kind of like working for the competition.
Okay.
So it's been really helpful. My mother, she worked in marketing at an assisted living facility. She's someone I would call every day, bounce ideas off of, ask questions. Is this something you've seen? We have this conversation going on at our office. So we're dealing with this with our client. And she was my soundboard. She'd hear it all. And then my dad, he's managed people what seems like his whole career. And he was the other end of the soundboard. So I can deal with the personal problems with my mom and try to work out those. And then I can go to my dad about, management tactics or how to handle big conversations or negotiate pay rates, whatever the case might be. So I've definitely taken advantage of not only like the people I know personally for, growth, but also the people here at the organization. That's something I take a lot of pride in, is that everyone who works like above me on the corporate ladder here has done my job.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have people at every turn to call and ask questions about,
So when you were in college, you were studying finance. You leave college, and now you fast forward to where you are today. You're running an office. You prior to transferring to the Toledo market, you were in the Columbus, Ohio market, the largest office in the company. You guys hit benchmarks that had never been hit at the organization. I remember one time you called and said something along the lines of like, we've hit this new number. What does it look like moving forward? Is this because there is kind of a stressful time? And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We've never been here. It's like asking the NASA guys, like, what's next? Like, I don't know. We've never been to
what's
Mars,
after
bro.
Mars?
Yeah. Like, I don't know. You tell us. No, but so, you guys hit some huge milestones there. You did not do that alone. You did that by building a team,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the Columbus office not only set some financial benchmarks and some production benchmarks, but you guys set some cultural benchmarks that I think most offices can strive to try to reach. I've been fortunate. I've talked on the podcast before. My dad had some health challenges, and we spent a lot of time about a year ago in the Columbus market at Ohio State.
Yeah.
And through that, I got to connect a little bit closer to your office than I had previously, just because I was up there more often. And went to some pretty awesome taco places, went to some good chicken places, but really just hung out with your office and got to know the folks there. That's, to me, man, I mean, you've had tremendous success in the organization, but to me, the thing that you've done best is the way that you led the team in the Columbus market. What talk about that a little bit.
Well, I feel like I got that from my first 3 days when I was in Bubbersville. Before I even started working here, those 4 months where I didn't know what was going on with my life or whether or not Jeff would call me, I feel like the culture that they had there is like what I looked for in my job. And my past job, and I'll use this example 100 times, I always felt like I was walking on eggshells. You always kind of had to feel like you were on guard and say the right things and act the right way and talk to the right people. And that just never made me feel comfortable. And when I brought on my first director, which is Hunter Nipp, still works here, he now runs the Columbus office. That was something I wanted to set out right away. Is how can we make clear expectations? How can we make sure that we all know what the job is and how to do it? And we can fill in the rest of that time with enjoying each other's company. And he's one of my best friends to this day. I mean, I love the guy. I trust him with my life. And he's going to do great things here. And like that relationship, we got along so well, and every person we would hire after that, I wanted to build that same relationship. And I just wanted to feel like a place where, we come to work, we put our heads down and we help people out. But whenever we get an opportunity to have a laugh about it, whenever we get an opportunity to go out for lunch or go get a drink after work, that we take full advantage of it. So we hired a lot of really good people in Columbus, and I've got a great team now in Toledo. And that's just what I want to channel is like, let's have some fun. This job is stressful. You got to have a lot of difficult conversations with people. You got to put in a lot of hours, but you want to have some fun while you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. You got anything? I mean, here, historically, you've been coming to the table with some real hard-hitting questions. Did you prepare anything for Austin today?
No. We talk a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know there's anything about him I don't know.
You said no.
I should have, but that's not true of the audience, which means I've let you down.
That's okay. No, that's all right. I just, sometimes, I get accused of talking too much. I don't know if, in fact, it was you earlier that accused me.
That question that you was, for that answer, I mean, that had to be 2-3 minutes. I was looking over here. Well, everybody fell asleep.
They can clip that, right?
I hope.
Okay, just cut to the end.
Asleep.
It was pretty rough, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's turned away from me. Okay, let me ask you a question.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
Oh, this is clearly one that's important to him.
This is one of my favorite questions. Whenever you're having a really, really tough day at work, and you have a lot of caregivers in your staff, and they all look up to you, and to them, it might seem like it's nice to be the boss. But there are days, no matter where you work, where it gets really, really stressful, especially when you're the one that's in charge of that office. And now it's in Toledo. And it can bother you to the point of like physical and mental health almost. I'm curious, what do you have any strategies to get you through those toughest days, the things that can, get you through it?
I think there's two things. One, when you're having a tough day, and there will be plenty of them when you do this job, call one of your favorite people who works with you. I mean, truthfully, I'm talking about a caregiver. Like, call one of those people that goes to work every day, has great relationships with their clients, someone you haven't talked to, because those are the people you don't hear from all the time. And if they're listening, thank you for all the work you do. But really, call one of those people and hear about what their job is like and hear about the impact they're making. Because, I mean, I'm like the suit in the office, right? I mean, I don't go out and see the clients every day. I'm not in the, I think our caregivers have some of the hardest jobs in the world. Call those people and talk to them and hear about, you know, the difference that they're making. So that's the biggest thing. The second thing is take care of the hardest problems first. I think this is a job where there's always something that's on your shoulder. There's always a difficult conversation that has to be made. There's always, a problem that needs to get handled, and no one's going to handle it except the people in charge. I can't call you two and say, hey, staff this case for me in Northwest Ohio. So just handle those problems first. Take care of the big phone calls and get that off your shoulder. I said this at a meeting a couple years ago in Cincinnati. Like, you know, I think it's really important that that the easier those hard conversations are to have, the easier your job is, right? The more willing you are to just say, okay, I got to give someone some bad news today. Let's do it right now, and let's get through with that, and let's move on. The easier you can do that, the easier scheduling is going to be, the easier client conversations are going to be, the easier it is to staff cases. If you can just tackle the hard things first, it's going to part the seas for everything else.
I'll tell you, ever since you made that comment at that meeting, where was that at? Columbus?
Cincinnati,
Cincinnati, okay. About how...
It's right before BJ's, I think.
BJ's Brew House.
Maybe
we'll talk about that in a minute.
If we could get a corporate sponsorship from BJ's Brew House,
yeah.
That would just be fine dining, great atmosphere, exceptional menu options, desserts that are maybe unchallenged. Anyways, go on.
Anyway, yeah.
You just described
nice.
the Cheesecake Factory right there.
It's nice.
It's fantastic.
But you were talking earlier about being younger, and is that an obstacle because you're dealing with you're the boss of people that are older than you in a lot of cases? I'll tell you why you shouldn't worry about that. You know, I've been for this company since day one. I've had lots of other lines of work, things I've done. Ever since I heard you make that comment in Cincinnati, I've thought about that 3 days a week, because anybody can fall into that trap of there's one thing this week I really don't want to deal with, and it's Tuesday morning. Well, and then it becomes Wednesday. Now it's Thursday. Well, I want to get it done by the end of the week. But the problem is you've spent 2 days just letting it cloud all your other thoughts and bother you inside, and you got that static like, I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah, you feel guilty. I mean, it's terrible.
This happened to me. I'm not just saying this. It happened to me today. I was in the car coming back to the office, and there was one task I just didn't want to really have to do. I thought of that comment at that meeting, and I just made the call right then, because it's always better.
Yeah.
You just have to do it. So, yeah, just wanted to give you props for that. Thanks for mentoring me in that way.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
You know, I would think I would be fair to say that several years ago, 3 years ago, you probably didn't see a time where in 2023 you would be a prominent voice in this organization. You would be an established leader. I can't tell you the times that I've provided your contact information to new directors in our organization, directors that are struggling with the challenge of how do I get to this next level? How do I deal with this challenge? And we coach, we give advice, but sometimes it's really good to have it from a peer that's been in the trenches saying, I'm doing this right now, and this is how I got to the other side of it. You're a leader in our CRM rollout. You're a test site for it. You were working on the pilot program for it. And the advice that you gave at our regional meetings recently about how did you get this rolled out to your office and how did you get your caregivers to do it? I don't know, have there been other times in your life where people have accused you of being an old soul, or I don't know. I mean, I know you're sensitive to your age at times, or have been in the past, but I mean, you give some really great, stable advice for someone that worries about their youth.
Well, that's imposter syndrome, I think they call it. No, I appreciate that. I guess I would consider myself an old soul. And I love when you have people call me. I know that sounds silly, but I love, and I'm not even like giving advice. I'm just like, I like when people call and explain kind of what their struggles are and what they're dealing with, whether they're 3 months in the job or 3 years into the job. Just because like I deal with the same stuff every day still. Like the job doesn't change, the stresses don't change. It's just how you handle them. And I really love that. Like I hope one day I get that opportunity to do that every day and do that, you know, for all sorts of people. And hopefully we're doing it in 50 states or 50 countries, whatever the case might be. But just because it doesn't matter. Like I'm gonna, you know, I'm not gonna sound humble here, but we ran the biggest office in Columbus, me and my team. And just because I did that doesn't mean I was doing anything better than anyone else. We might have been in the right place. We might have had the right referral sources. We might have had the best caregivers, and we were probably paying them too much, right? But we still dealt with the same stresses. There's no secret recipe. You just got to put your head down. You got to be compassionate. You got to do the right thing, and you got to use common sense. And I love telling people that because there's no secret sauce.
What was it like growing up knowing that your second cousin was a rock star? Was that?
God.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I got invited to a lot of birthday parties because of that.
Really?
For sure. Yeah. For sure.
You got in what?
Birthday parties, yeah. A lot of kids when I was like 6 or 7 be like, yeah, you know NovaFlow?
Oh, God.
Yeah. I bet you're still using that to get in clubs and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not uncommon, like having a celebrity.
Yeah. No, I do remember, honestly, like my first real memory of Jeff was Christmas when at the house that we drove by, that I sped by. We had our whole family over, and usually in our family,
I'm so worried.
No, you're not going to get in trouble here. Okay. Yeah.
Oh.
But it always happened like the guys were always the last ones up. And I was the only person under like 25 at that point. I was probably 9 or 10. And people like to have a beer or two on Christmas Eve. And I would sit on the cooler. And every time someone wanted a beer, I would open the cooler. I'd open up their beer for them and I'd charge them a quarter. And Jeff was my best customer for a couple Christmases.
You mean that I drank the least but tipped the best?
You tipped the best, yeah. You had 1 or 2, yeah.
Well, I do remember that. You made a lot of money that night.
I did, yeah.
I'm talking like, what, $30, $40,
yeah,
I bet.
some serious coins.
Because you got
then.
more than just quarters.
Oh, yeah. Got a couple bills in there.
I was sliding a few fives his way.
Oh, I've seen you tip. I know how you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that's a funny story. I forgot about that. One thing that I have learned about you, this is total non sequitur, sorry. Since you came to Village Caregiving, is that I didn't know before is how sweet of a guy you are. I hope this doesn't embarrass you that I'm saying this. Yeah, I mean, well, because, you know, we've known each other a long time, but we never lived in the same area, so we didn't get a chance to see each other really all that much. So I didn't know who you were inside all that well, to be honest. But since coming here, I've got to know you a lot better, and the way that you care about your clients is unmatched, man. It's really special, to the point where sometimes I think I've even had to tell you, dude, if something goes wrong, you can't let this eat at you that badly. Do the best you can and take responsibility when mistakes happen. Try to fix them, but do your best. But don't let it just kill you inside. But you care so much about your clients. Honestly, I didn't realize you were that like much of a sweetheart inside. That's a nice thing. I mean that in a nice way. Don't you? Do you agree with that?
I agree with that. Yeah, I definitely got a little too attached, and I think a lot of new people at Village Caregiving feel that way because you want to help everyone, and there's not always an answer. I mean, we take care of people who are in the most desperate situations, in the most desolate areas, and we're the only ones willing to do it. And it's hard when you can't give them, you know, what they want. And I'm a victim of like setting high expectations for our clients or for myself, and when you can't follow through with them, it hurts. And I feel the exact same way about our employees. You know, when you hire a new employee and you know they're good and you know they care and you know they're worth our time and they're going to take good care of your clients, and you can't give them the exact hours they need or you can't keep them close enough to home. I mean, that hurts just as much as, you know, not being able to staff a case. I mean, it really does. They're just as important as our clients are to me. Just because, you know, that could be any of us. You know, who knows like how the coin flips and where you end up. And I want to give those people like the best lives possible clients and caregivers alike.
You treat them like it's your own family.
Absolutely.
I know you do.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, so we do this fairly often. A lot of times when we're interviewing potential staff to come in leadership positions, they will stumble upon this podcast. Through Google searches or checking out our social medias, they'll find it. And so we try to ask people, and this is kind of a unique situation because you've been with us for a long time. You joined the company not too long after I did. If a person is watching this right now and they are in the process of interviewing or may have received a job offer from Village Caregiving and they're trying to decide, should I leave my career in finance or should I leave my career in some type of operations and come to Village Caregiving, what advice would you give them if they pick up the phone and called you?
Well, I tell them to go for it, obviously. But I think first, before I even get into advice, like what this opportunity is, this is basically an opportunity to run your own business. And that's probably not what you guys want to hear because you're our managers, but the reins are off. There's plenty of tools that we have, whether it's advice or whether it's, the CRM or whether it's, foundations that we're a part of, you name it. But you basically get to run your own office. You're in charge of the decisions that we make. You're in charge of the day-to-day. If you perform, you get to hire people. I mean, you're going to start from the bottom floor and you're going to build that to exactly where you can make it, right? So that would be the opportunity. And I think that's not something you can get anywhere else, especially in home health agencies. My advice to them would be, don't take yourself too serious. You're going to make mistakes. The people that work with you are going to make mistakes. Your clients are going to make mistakes. So take those bumps in the road and learn from them. Don't get too beat up over when things don't go well and expect that things aren't always going to go well. So you can look out in the future and try to, carve that path to success on your own.
What kind of culture should they anticipate encountering if they come over?
Cutthroat. No.
Dealing with this guy.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure you can tell by the podcast. It's pretty cutthroat here. No, but it's a culture where the job that you're going to be doing, there are 100 people in the room who have done it too. And you just have a wealth of knowledge available to you at any time of any day to look for advice, ask questions, get answers. And you're going to get a lot of people that believe in you. I've had a lot of difficult conversations with Jeff or, other people in the organization about performance or about compliance, you name it. And no one's out to get you. I think a lot of companies these days are out to get people. But here at Village Caregiving, they're just trying to make, our offices better, our caregivers better, and give better service to our clients. So,
well, I was going to say, whenever you say we might not like to hear that it feels like running your own business, I do like to hear that because it's important to us to try to give you as much autonomy and flexibility as we can and not stay on top of you and make it half miserable. I mean, it's kind of the point of the culture in some sense, but we want to be there to support you as much as you need, obviously. But no, I do like hearing that.
Cool. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that because one of the canned responses that I give during our interview process is we give this example of let's say it's Quincy, Illinois, where we're getting ready to open a location. In Quincy, this is like you're opening your own pizza shop. And you've got corporate support. We're here to help. We're going to help in processes, but it's your pizza shop. And if it makes it or that's, and so we tell them a ton of autonomy. You will be the culture and the person for that city. And so I appreciate, what you said backs that up.
Yeah. And at that pizza shop, the oven's got to work. The lights got to come on. Someone's got to open the store and close the store. And that person is you. Yeah. And, nothing's going to happen unless you're the one, making it happen.
Cool.
Obviously, there are compliance standards. There are payroll dates. There are things that have to be done a certain way.
Right.
But beyond that, your day-to-day operations, I want you to find your own rhythm with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Austin, there is a part of this podcast that to some people, like Jeff, it makes perfect sense. To others, it's very confusing. And that's called the fishbowl. If you've ever seen the podcast, you'll understand that the thoughts that are in here are purely thoughts that's in Jeff's head. And at some point along the way, I think maybe a therapist or a court ordered those thoughts to come out into the fishbowl on paper. And that's what we have here today. Are you okay if I pull one of these out, read it, and then you just respond?
Sure.
Are you sure?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm actually looking forward to this part.
What if we had a guest say no? Would we just
say, well, cheers. Let's end the show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull one out here. I've not seen these, so.
Okay. You didn't write these?
No.
You wrote them, I assume.
Yeah, you know what's funny too was I'll throw 8 or 10 of those things in there, and then we use them for several episodes. By the time it's getting empty like this, I also have no idea what's left in that bowl. It's a new question to me. I may have thought of this a month ago.
Austin, do you know what kind of marketing is just nearly irresistible?
This one I remember.
I mean, there's not a right answer to this, right?
No.
That's an impossible question to ask.
That's tough.
This one I have in there for a purpose because I have a prop for this one.
For irresistible
I don't
marketing?
want to steal your answer here if you got one. I was buying you a second there.
No, get the prop and then buy me a couple more seconds.
Here's the kind of marketing that's irresistible. Aside from pizza commercials, which are completely irresistible. But other than that, it's the kind where you just have to know something.
Oh, there's a hook.
Uh-huh. Now, let me tell you something. I was watching this retro TV show the other night. Something like I Love the 80s. I don't remember what it was. Sorry. But they were talking about these 900 numbers that used to be a big popular thing. And they were showing one where you could call the 1-900 number and they would tell you, it was like 1-900 crying was the name of it or something close to that. They would say something on the phone that would make you just weep, burst into tears and cry. And they would have people, that had called in, and of course this is probably fake footage, but they were filming actors, but they were just crying on the phone. And I got to tell you, I wanted to call that number right that minute because what could they possibly say on there that could make me act that way?
Did you call him?
Well, I mean, it was like 40-year-old phone number because this was a retro show. But if it existed right now, I'd call it right this second.
Yeah.
I'm dying to know what it says when you dial that number. It's irresistible marketing. And I've got another example for you. Did I buy you enough time yet, or do you want me to go ahead?
Well, I will say that I have seen a billboard. It's in Columbus, and it just says in giant handwriting, "I hate Steven Singer." Have you guys ever seen these?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just says, "I hate Steven Singer." And that's it. And I've seen hundreds of them.
About Steven?
And then it's called IHateStevenSinger.com. It's right there at the bottom. And you look it up, and it's like a jewelry shop. No relation to whoever Steven Singer is. Yeah.
You have to look it up.
Yeah.
You got to know. Now, check this out.
Okay.
I've brought with me an old vinyl record.
Yeah.
If you can zoom in on this.
Oh.
It's called the 600 Second Miracle. Okay?
Okay.
Now, just to show you how authentic this is, this was my dad's record when he was a little kid. Your Uncle Danny, Dan Stevens, it says on here.
Yeah.
Danny Stevens, 310 West 5th Avenue.
In case it gets lost, they can mail that right back to him.
Well, he didn't want to lose this one.
Yeah.
Because, let me read the back to you.
Okay.
Okay? The 600 Second Miracle. On one side of this record, you will hear a thrilling, suspenseful story with music, actors, and special effects.
My goodness.
Before the needle reaches the final groove, you will have heard an actual miracle occur. A miracle that takes 600 seconds.
Well, I have to know.
That's 10 minutes time. You will have heard an actual miracle occur. Now, I challenged anyone watching this, and to you two fine gentlemen, do you not want to know what's on this record right now?
I would kill to
yeah.
know.
I want to play it now.
Point proven. Next.
Mic drop.
Are you going to, is that available on Spotify or anything? Will we ever know?
Nope.
Also,
if anybody
let me
really has to know, you can text me and I'll give you the answer.
All right.
because this is an appropriate format for the.
No, it's appropriate. I just don't want to spoil the secret.
Yeah, it is a miracle. You don't come by those all the time. you know?
Yeah. Also, let me ask you a question. Why is it so embarrassing when you fall down?
Because it hurts. I mean, you're not supposed to fall down.
What is it about culture? Is it everywhere in the world that if you fall, it's embarrassing? Is that a universal thing?
That's a great question, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like to test that, you'd have to go around and fall in a lot of places.
Let me ask you this question. Do you laugh when other people fall?
No.
Do you?
I try not to.
My brother, like just hysterically laughs when people fall. And I remember one time we were at an amusement park and we're walking with our family of 4, me, my brother, my mom, and my dad, and a lady misses a curb and falls. And my brother lost it. My mom, I thought, was going to go to jail for trying to kill my brother. Because, I mean, it was right in front of this lady, but he didn't mean to. But when she hit the ground, he laughed. But it is embarrassing when you fall.
If I got up right now, we're finishing this, and I catch my foot on this and I fall in the floor, it's just a thing that happened. I just get up and like nobody's going to judge me for this. Why is it that embarrassing though?
Oh, it's horribly embarrassing.
I think he's onto something. I think it is because there are people out there, a good amount of them, that just think it's hilarious. And you're getting laughed at. You look like an idiot.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to fall. Like you said, you've done everything wrong.
Yeah. I mean, falling is like the ultimate just fail. I mean, that's just a total fumble.
But think how many things in life you should be far more embarrassed of than just falling down. You didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
well,
I forgot to walk, but
yeah.
I forgot to walk.
That whole upright thing got me again.
Anyway, next time you fall down, just think about, maybe I shouldn't be so embarrassed here.
How quickly when you fall do you look around to see if anyone's looking? Is it immediate?
Yes.
I'm
You
probably
play it off?
I'm probably gonna fall on the way out, but I can't think of my last fall.
Really?
Yeah.
Even if you fall, you have to kind of like look to see what tripped me up there.
That's true.
You play it off. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
You got to kind of make a little show out of it. Now, this is even weirder though. Let's say that you're doing a trail run and there's no one in sight. You're out in the woods and you trip on a root and you take a freaking nosedive.
Yeah.
It's still kind of embarrassing and there's not even anyone there to see it. Explain
Yeah.
that part.
I'm still looking around.
You're embarrassed of yourself. Your own soul is so embarrassed of what you just did that you feel like a moron.
This isn't a hypothetical. I have fallen on a trail run and looked around immediately, knowing there's no one within
Squirrels are laughing at
20
you.
miles
Yeah.
of me. Yeah, it's horribly embarrassing.
And just in case there was a person creeping behind that tree watching random trail runners,
Yeah.
you probably had to kind of play it off a little bit, even
Yeah,
in that scenario.
absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
God, what is daggone roots?
Stupid shoes.
Yeah, that
Right.
wasn't there last time.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll make an
It's a
excuse
bizarre
right now.
quirk of humans.
Yeah. I don't fall often though. I will say that, but
It's good.
I guess that would make it extra embarrassing when you do,
oh,
though.
it's bad. Yeah, I'm pretty sure-footed when it comes to that.
Maybe that's right. We should just fall a lot and get used to it.
Yeah, make
I'm
it
going
the
to fall
norm.
down 2 or 3 times today.
This is actually a good one.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, we got to the bottom. Finally,
There had to be one in there.
we found a golden nugget. Also, have you ever thought that it'd be a good idea to mash up characters from TV shows and let them interact on a new show?
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. You mix up like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with South Park, with you name it. I mean, it's comedy. Why not?
Let's see what Chandler Bing says to Dwight Schrute in character on a new show.
Yeah.
Why didn't nobody ever has this idea?
Well, I think back
Sounds
in
like
the
an
day,
SNL skit or something.
someone could fact check this, but I think back in the day on like ABC's TGI Friday, when they had Family Matters and Step by Step, occasionally they would do a crossover
They'd cross them up.
where someone and the crowd would lose it when like Urkel walked into Step by Step or something. You'd be like, I can't believe he's here.
I've always wanted to be like on-set crowd at like a sitcom.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you ever watched a live filming of a show?
No?
So we went to David Letterman and Jimmy Fallon. We did live tapings of both of those. Side note, not to make fun of my wife, but she was trying to plan this special trip to New York, and she called the Jay Leno show and tried to get us tickets. They filmed that in Burbank, California.
yeah.
And they were like, when will you be in California? She's like, oh no, we're going to New York. So that didn't work out. But we did get to see Fallon. We did get to see Letterman. And that was really cool behind the scenes. As like all things, the crowd is much smaller than you would anticipate. I thought there would be 500.
Was there like the laugh sign or the clap sign?
Weirdly enough, the Fallon show was an absolute party. I mean, there was nothing really rehearsed. The Roots, their house band, was phenomenal. And you were just at a party. And Jimmy would interview some people. Letterman was completely scripted. They like rehearsed how to laugh and how to clap, and basically told us in the entry to the Ed Sullivan Theater, like, you're not here for a comedy show. You're here to perform. So we need to step these laughs up. Like Fallon was legit. That was a lot of fun.
You learned a lot.
Yeah.
That's probably how you got so good at this.
I mean, me and Fallon, I went to the school of Jimmy Fallon.
Became my mom's favorite.
Yeah, God, she loves me. Yeah, on an earlier podcast, Joe Dunlap sent me a text and said that I was her favorite podcast host.
That came in live while you were filming?
No, it came in the other day, but I saved it.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, it was smart.
Opened it live.
I think she just meant that you're her favorite host. I'm more of a co-host. You do all the heavy lifting here.
Well, we could call her and ask her.
You want me to?
No. No, I don't.
She would be honored.
She would be. Well, I'm going to get her on one
Yeah,
day.
you could bring her on
I'm
sometime.
going to book her and
right?
not tell you.
Wouldn't that be cool, though, to see your favorite characters from your favorite TV shows on a new show? Who wouldn't watch it? Even if it wasn't very good, you'd watch it just for the novelty of it, at least for a little while.
Yeah. I feel like some of those shows are produced by like NBC, and NBC is not going to produce a show with CBS.
Right. Well, that's
know?
why I went Friends and The Office. They could, well, they weren't at the same time, but right, same network. You could do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like you said, TGI Friday.
I do like when they bring a guest on to a new show and they kind of reference, they'll make like a joke, like say they bring Chandler Bing on, but they bring him in as Matthew Perry on the show, and they'll just make some type of like line where you get that it's there. That's creative writing, I think. Let me ask you a question. Would you be open to this idea on the podcast? Sorry, Austin, we'll get back to you in a minute.
Sure.
Would you commit to an idea of one of our next video podcasts, you not know who the guest is going to be?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
The door opens.
He clearly doesn't prepare questions anyway.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
He does all the work. I just show up.
Yeah.
It's
You just write a couple things on paper and throw them in a bowl.
I mean, some people might say it's the best part.
We get a lot of feedback from it, that's for sure. So are you open to this idea?
I think that'd be a lot of fun. I don't know who's coming in. In fact, let's do that next time.
Okay.
What if it's somebody I don't know?
Tell me about yourself. Yeah.
Guess which office they're from. I could do that and not bring someone from an office. Just bring Gary from down the street.
That's what I
Yeah.
meant. He'll get someone else to act a part, and I'll be like trying to catch up the whole time. Like, oh yeah, of course I know Gary.
This is Gary from Zanesville Village Caregiving. And you're like, we have an office in Zanesville. Anyways.
Do you know that one previous podcast he told me there was a guy named Gary in the Bible?
It's my go-to name. What's your go-to name? If you're
Didn't he? Sam and Austin are nodding along.
Do you have a go-to name if you're trying to tell a story and you can't remember the person?
Steve.
Steve.
Yeah. Steve.
Yours is Gary.
Gary stars in all of my shows. Well, anyways, Austin, man, we've come to the end of the podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it.
I have. It's a
I
good
hope it was
time. Yeah.
Worth the drive.
Totally.
I think you've driven the furthest for the podcast. I don't think we have anyone come in over 5 hours before. So,
Yeah. 4.5. So,
okay.
yeah. I drive quick sometimes.
Well, cool.
Yeah. It was a good time. Thank you.
Awesome, man. We appreciate you being here. We appreciate what you're doing in Toledo. I just like hanging out with you. I don't know if it's the feeling's mutual or not.
For sure.
But no, we actually got to hang out in Chicago some as well when
we
were up
did.
there. Yeah, for the regional meeting. So, well, anyways, man, we really appreciate having you on. Jeff, again, appreciate your contributions as always.
Thank you.
Well, guys, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.